Norway ranks among the happiest, safest, most trusted societies on Earth. So why have more than 300 of its wealthiest citizens packed up and left since 2022? In one single year, more multimillionaires fled than in the previous 13 combined. Billionaire Kjell Inge Rocker announced his move to Switzerland in an open letter. Now Norway wants them back. But once capital leaves a country, does it ever really return? Norway's social contract has long seemed unbreakable. For decades, the country's high taxes have funded universal healthcare, generous parental leave, and world-class schools. Trust in government runs deep. But beneath this stability, a new rift has opened. After the wealth tax changes in 2022 and 2023, the number of wealthy Norwegians moving abroad jumped in a way that caught even seasoned policymakers off guard. In a single year, more than 30 multimillionaires and billionaires filed departure notices, more than in the previous 13 years combined. Media reports soon traced the total number of high-net-worth emigrants above 300, a figure that, while small compared to Norway's population, represents a significant share of the country's private capital and entrepreneurial talent. The face of this exodus became Kjell Inge Rocker, a billionaire with deep roots in Norway's industrial economy. In September 2022, Rocker published an open letter announcing he was moving his residence from Asker to Lugano, Switzerland. He wrote, "I've chosen Lugano as my new residence. It is neither the cheapest nor has the lowest taxes, but in return, it is a great place with a central location in Europe." Rocker's decision wasn't just about personal finances. His departure and the candor of his letter made the issue impossible to ignore. Suddenly, the debate was no longer about abstract policy or fairness in the tax code. It was about whether a system that works for most citizens can hold on to its most influential risk-takers when the numbers and the psychology tilt toward leaving. The question now hangs in the air. Can a country that excels at equality afford to lose those who drive its private economy? Norway's wealth tax is deceptively simple on paper. Each year, anyone with net assets above the statutory threshold faces a levy of 1%, rising to 1.1% above 20.7 million NOK. For most salaried Norwegians, the effect is marginal. Home values are discounted, pension assets are exempt, and the annual bill is predictable. But for business owners, founders, and those whose fortunes are tied up in private companies, the calculation quickly becomes a puzzle of liquidity and compounding tax layers. The core issue is that the tax applies not just to realized earnings, but to the book value of all net assets, shares in unlisted companies, commercial property, and investments that cannot easily be sold. While the state applies valuation discounts, private equity is taxed at 75% of estimated market value, primary homes at just 25%. The numbers often remain daunting. Professor Stein H. Hjelle of the Norwegian School of Economics has described the effect as a cash flow trap for entrepreneurs. Imagine a founder holding 50 million NOK in private company shares. The annual wealth tax bill on the amount above the threshold comes to about 322,000 NOK. But to pay that bill, the owner must extract enough from the company to cover it after accounting for the 37.8% tax on dividends. To clear 322,000 NOK, the company must distribute over 517,000 NOK in pre-tax dividends. That's a significant sum to pull from a business each year, especially if those funds are needed for growth, payroll, or research. This creates a compounding loop. The more a business grows on paper, the larger the annual wealth tax bill becomes, requiring even bigger taxable dividends. The owner faces a choice: draw down working capital, take on debt, or sell shares, sometimes at a discount. For those with most of their wealth locked in illiquid assets, the system feels less like a fair share and more like an annual squeeze. The government's defense is rooted in fairness. The tax is meant to ensure that wealth, not just income, contributes to the common good. Yet for a small but influential group, the numbers tilt toward leaving. The question shifts from "why would I go?" to "why wouldn't I?" a psychological turning point that pure policy design struggles to address. And as capital flows out, the broader challenge becomes clear. Can any high-trust, high-equality society design a system that works for both the majority and the entrepreneurial minority who drive its private economy? Relocating used to mean uprooting a business, a family, and a whole way of life. Today, the calculation is far simpler. Modern communication tools and cloud-based platforms allow Norwegian business owners to manage companies, investments, and even staff from a laptop anywhere in the world. Board meetings happen over encrypted video calls, contracts move instantly through digital signatures, and banking is global. For those whose wealth is tied up in private companies, the practical hurdles to leaving have shrunk. The company can keep operating in Norway while its owner files tax returns from Zurich or Lugano. Switzerland stands out as the destination of choice. Cities like Zurich and Lugano have built reputations as hubs for international wealth, offering both legal stability and a lifestyle that rivals Oslo. The tax difference is real. In cantons like Zug or Schwyz, effective personal income taxes can fall below 18%, and wealth taxes are negotiated case by case. Swiss law firms such as Baer & Co., where Marco Berger advises, specialize in smoothing the path for new arrivals. Lump sum agreements and asset-based deals are routine, making the move both predictable and attractive for those used to Norway's annual squeeze. Norway is not alone in facing this challenge. In Germany, billionaire Klaus-Peter Müller moved his residence to Zug after Berlin tightened its own tax regime. France, once famous for its wealth tax, reversed course in 2017 after years of elite outflows and sluggish growth. These examples reinforce a new reality. The psychological barrier to leaving has crumbled. When the numbers stack up and the tools to manage a business from abroad are at hand, the question for many is no longer, why would I go, but why wouldn't I? When a small group of wealthy Norwegians moves abroad, the effects ripple far beyond lost tax receipts. In Norway, private capital is concentrated enough that the departure of just a few dozen individuals can drain a large share of the resources that fuel the country's startup and innovation ecosystem. These are not passive fortunes sitting in bank accounts, but funds that flow through angel networks, family offices, and early-stage investments. In many cases, the same people who leave are the ones who have historically mentored new founders, seeded young companies, and made the first phone call that turns an idea into a business. The consequences show up quickly. After the 2022 wealth tax increase, Norway saw a decline in seed-stage funding and a drop in the number of new investment rounds for startups. Venture capitalists and entrepreneurs began to report that it was harder to close deals and that the pool of domestic investors had noticeably shrunk. Family offices, often anchored by a single founder or business owner, either followed their principals abroad or scaled back their activity at home. The loss is not just financial. It is a loss of networks, experience, and the willingness to take risks on unproven ideas. Mentorship and deal-making rarely stay behind when the people who drive them leave. The exodus sends a signal that the rules have changed and that capital is now mobile in a way it never was before. When one prominent investor leaves, others start to ask if they should follow. The effect compounds. Each departure erodes confidence in the system, not just for those at the top, but for every entrepreneur trying to raise money or build something new. The risk is that Norway's reputation for stability and opportunity could fade faster than anyone expects, and that the country's success in creating a fair society may come at the cost of losing the very people who help renew its private economy. Inside government offices, the official line has not wavered. Ministers defend the wealth tax as a cornerstone of Norway's equalitarian model, one that funds universal healthcare, education, and the social safety net. The argument is that those with the most should contribute more, not just through income, but through accumulated assets. Ellen Reitan, Deputy Finance Minister, has stated that the tax keeps the system progressive and ensures the benefits of prosperity are shared. Yet behind the scenes, the mood is more cautious. Senior officials now acknowledge that departures among the wealthy are a growing concern, and that the policy's design may need to be revisited. No full rollback is on the table, but the conversation has shifted. Proposals for exemptions or new valuation rules are under quiet review. Any adjustment risks being seen as giving in to wealthy interests. But inaction could mean watching more capital and the networks it supports slip away. The debate is no longer just about fairness, it is about how to keep the system working for everyone, when a small but vital group is already heading for the exit. Norway's experience now stands as a test case for countries weighing similar policies. The OECD has cautioned that high-rate wealth taxes, especially those applied to illiquid assets, can accelerate capital flight. In practice, only a handful of OECD nations still collect a net wealth tax: Norway, Switzerland, Spain, France, and Colombia, while others have abandoned the approach after seeing elite outflows and shrinking investment. In the United States, lawmakers have floated proposals that would create effective tax burdens on the ultra-wealthy, far exceeding Norway's 1.1%, raising questions about whether such measures would keep capital at home or send it searching for friendlier ground. Lars Rasmussen of the OECD points out that as borders become more porous for wealth, the risk of losing entrepreneurial capital rises. Dr. Maya Singh connects Norway's story to the American debate, noting that the challenge is not just about numbers, but about whether the incentives for risk-taking can survive in a world where leaving is easier than ever. The tension remains unresolved. Can high-trust societies preserve both fairness and the drive that keeps their builders from walking away? Today, Norway's paradox sharpens. A system celebrated for fairness now collides with the reality that over 350 multimillionaires have left since 2022. Once the psychology shifts to, "Why wouldn't I leave?" lost capital rarely returns. The world is watching which value endures, equality or incentive. What do you think?